your expectation is that the Fed is going to create a recession, but I can't figure out whether you want them to hike then or not.
Well, you know, that becomes secondary, because I think what you have to think about is that we know the recession is coming because of what the Fed has done over the past 10 years especially. It's the monetary inflation that sets the standard. And then once that's been done, and I'm talking about the QEs, once that's been done, you can't stop the recession. You can manipulate it and change it and delay it and make it last longer. But it's there, and it's starting to show signs of it, and it will come. But so, you know, it's the Fed is, you know, between the rock and a hard place. You know, they talk about reducing the balance sheet, and they start to do it, and they do it for a couple of months, and the markets get hysterical. You can't do that. And the president lectures them.
If I gave you Jay Powell's job, what would you do?
I'd resign because that would imply that I know what the interest rate should be. I want free market interest rates. You could, now being a little more serious, what you could do is just have a policy where the FOMC cannot monetize government debt. Because that's where the culprit is. You know, just recently with the new Congress, they say we're not even going to vote on the deficit anymore. Well, the Fed will take care of the deficit. They'll buy it. They'll take care of this. Let's not confuse things by voting on increasing the deficit.
How much do you think a recession is a function of the Fed and what's happened over the last 10 years and what may be happening right now in terms of raising those rates versus the larger potential economic issues globally, potentially trade war, tariffs with China?
Okay, 100% of the cause is the manipulation of interest rates, keeping interest rates too low and eliminating the market decision of what interest rates should be. Now, these other things that you mentioned are events that are very important. One is the cause, and one it brings it about. But the real cause is the inflation and the artificial interest rates. But all these other things, it just are, you know, excuses. Oh, Powell said this. $1 trillion is shifted in funding. You know, and those are excuses. They're looking for excuses because they do not want you to think, oh, this is all the Fed's fault. Everything is done to try to distract from the Federal Reserve. They even talk about inflation incessantly. One of the things that annoys me the most is, well, we have no inflation, so we're okay. Right. Well, what is $4 trillion of a balance sheet? That's inflation, and it's caused all this trouble. Oh, no, we want 2% of the CPI, which is always rigged. As long as it's under 2%, everything is okay.
Congressman, I just have a question. There was a decision made in this country about, 80 years ago, 100 years ago, that a central bank was a better way to live to avoid financial panics. And that what you needed was a central bank to regulate, among other things, the money supply. And that was a decision that was made and agreed to all around the world. And I get that it's problematic and hasn't been perfect, but what is the better way if you're going to have a unified currency? Now, you could go back to the 19th century where all the banks were issuing their own currencies, right? And all the states were issuing their own currencies. But if you're going to have a unified currency, don't you need a unified authority to oversee that currency?
No, you need the authority of freedom. And the authority of freedom for 6,000 years has always picked the precious metals that governments can't manipulate. And that is a problem. So you do want a universal currency.
But the government's manipulated that currency, Mr. Paul. Right?
Oh, I know. That's why government is.
That's the word. That's where the word debasement comes from, right?
Oh, yeah. But the governments are absolutely worse because they manipulate it in favor of special interests. For the deficits of big government and for bailing out big banks and all the things that they do.
Right?
Hey, Ron, Congressman, before we let you go, I wanted to get your thoughts on the government shutdown and the wall. We're going to be hearing from the president tonight at 9 p.m. Where do you stand and land on this issue?
Well, the shutdown is not too significant in the scheme of things, but it's another thing that can stir up trouble when people react to it. But no, I think they're completely wrong. I don't like walls. I'm a libertarian. I don't want to wall people in. I don't want to wall people out. But I don't want free, open borders either. I think you have to remove the incentives for people to come. And they come because there's a welfare system here, easy access to citizenship. It's politicized. One group wants them because they think they can get the votes. But people should be able to come and visit and work. But you have to get rid of the incentive system. No easy road to citizenship. This idea, I'm an OB doctor, and I close to the border, so people would pop in and have a baby, and all of a sudden the next day they went to the courthouse to sign up for all the welfare programs. And that's not the way citizenship should be handled. So you remove all these incentives, the welfare state, easy road to citizenship, and expose the people who are pushing this because they're looking for more voters, and you don't need a wall.
Right,
you don't need a wall if that's the case.
Do you and Rand differ on things, or just in terms of, because he's been an outlier on some stuff, refreshing outlier on a lot of stuff. Are you at 90% agreement, 50% agreement? I'm just wondering. We don't talk to you enough anymore, but where are you? Are you guys pretty close on a lot of these things?
Well, yeah, we compare notes every single day, and we check them out. No, I'm being facetious. No, he's his own person that does it, and he has freedom beliefs, and they're going to coincide. But we don't do comparison lists. The media always likes to do it. It was always annoying to me that if I had one single thing that I disagreed with him on when he was campaigning, this was a big deal. So I think we like to be our own person and define things and discuss things in a way of talking about the philosophy of government and talking about liberty and talking about the free market, talking about sound money and getting rid of power of the special interest. Right. And to us, I think we would have strong agreement that the Federal Reserve is way too powerful. They are the epitome of what central planning is all about, and we don't like central economic planning.